Was that kind of like challenge for you?
It was a challenge, but in the United States, I worked with numerous startup companies. I'd worked within education in America, and I took those strengths and brought them to China. And in the Chinese context, I think one has to identify what are the needs of the local community. What are the things that really would benefit the local community here, and how can I bring my strengths to the table to accomplish those things? So it was a combined kind of effort.
Yeah, sure. So how many years you're working in this field, I mean, the education?
I think in total, a little over 20 years now.
I know that you were majoring back to the college time, and you were majoring in the child psychology, right?
Yeah, I think, child psychology, it was a driving force in my undergraduate career and into my graduate work. Child psychology refers to not just American child psychology or Chinese child psychology, but we all share a common way that we learn best. Regardless of our nationalities, regardless of the countries that we come from. One of the, I think it's actually a quote that I've put up in our main hall, and it says, "The secret to education lies in respecting the student."
Respecting the student.
Respecting the student. And I think this is actually a fundamental principle of child psychology. And really, if you establish the right conditions for learning and the right conditions for students to feel vulnerable and to feel open to learning, then you really have something special. So that was really my motivation to want to launch a school back in 2014, get into education in this manner.
Cavon, who is from Texas, the USA, is the principal of the Georgia School of Ningbo, Zhejiang Province. He is also an educator with over 20 years of experience in international education. In 2014, as the founding principal, Cavon came to Ningbo to establish GSN. He has always held unique ideas and adhered to his principles regarding what kind of student qualities should be cultivated in international education in Ningbo.
I know for the Georgia school there is which is called the tribes, right?
Oh, that's right.
Tribes, right? What is that? Explain it to me.
Yeah, tribes is actually it's a model. It's a community building model, and it's based on agreements. And these agreements are developed in conjunction with the students and the teachers, the school community. And once these agreements are set into place, they become kind of the foundational reference point for students, for teachers. We hold students accountable to the 5 agreements. The students can also hold us accountable to the 5 agreements. And just as an example, one of probably the most important agreement is to be truthful and trustworthy. And we find that if students can be truthful and trustworthy, then the rest of the agreements kind of come naturally. So these are things that we emphasize, both in our teaching staff, but also with our students on a daily basis. But it's one thing to kind of reference high ideals. It's another to put them into action and to ensure that students are actually practicing these things. So that's where the real secret lies within tribes, is the activities, the practices that we put into action in the classroom, the training that goes on in order to allow students to practice these things on a daily basis.
Okay. We all know that for the education, it's partly is kind of like standardized assessment, right? And for the tribes, in the Georgia school, how do you keep balance between the individual growth and the community building as what you're talking?
It's a great question, because on the one hand, tribes is very school culture oriented. It's the way that we do things. It's the feeling that one gets when they come onto our campus. There should be a warm, happy feeling of inclusion and acceptance. On the other, we are a school, and we know that the outcomes are very important. Our outcomes have to match or exceed outcomes of other great international schools around China, around the world. So we have standard assessment on the side that has to kind of always be externally relevant. Right? So we have PSAT, SAT, AP, and I think where these two things meet is we have to be strong in academics and externally relevant, internally relevant. We also have to be strong in character, and I think it's the character component that tribes really speaks to. And when you tie these two things together, you have a very unique, very special environment that is conducive to students that are really diplomats in their own right. I mean, they know how to bridge cultures, they know how to carry on conversations, how to express themselves eloquently. They also do great on SATs and APs and all the standardized tests that are out there.
Since GSN opened its doors, Its flexible curriculum design and professional international education concepts have attracted numerous students. As one of the international families living and working in Ningbo, Cavon and his family have deeply fallen in love with this place. His children affectionately refer to Ningbo as the home where they grow up. Moreover, through various means, Cavon is actively bringing more international education perspectives and attention to this city.
And now in 2021, you were awarded by the Ningbo municipal government with the Community Award, right?
That's right.
How was that honor mean to you?
Oh yeah, it was a very significant honor, I think, for me and in my life. I think it acknowledged the work that's been done here and within education in Ningbo. I, owe a great deal of gratitude to the Ningbo Foreign Affairs Office for considering my name there. So personally, I feel like in life, it's important for everyone to be of service and to be useful to the whatever area they're living in.
Many Chinese parents about their expectation towards the international education system. So, what the expectation of the Ningbo parents, towards the international education have been changed, since if you compare to maybe 10 years ago when you firstly come to here?
Sure. I think parents have become themselves much more educated in terms of their understanding of international education and in terms of what they want for their children. Ningbo is unique in that I think people in the region really have an outward focus. They look internally to the goings-on of the economy in China in general, but they also look internationally to see how they can be relevant internationally, both in trade and socially, in the social context as well. So I think that across the past 10 years, what we've seen is a greater understanding and appreciation for international education and the role that it can play for the lives of children.
And I noticed that you personally run the account on the Xiaohongshu social media account.
That's right.
Why? I mean, did you decide to engage into the Chinese social media accounts platforms?
I think it is. It's something that we encourage our students to be involved in too. The topic, or the item that I encourage our students to be involved in throughout their life is to be individual diplomats in society, and diplomatic in the sense that we should always be trying to build bridges in whatever small way that we can. And if all of us do this in our lives, the world generally will be a better place because of our efforts. And there is kind of a butterfly effect to these little things that we do. For me, this was a fun activity. It was something that I saw that actually could very easily connect with Chinese families, with families from the West. And I haven't put that much out there, but the things that I've put out there, I've been very surprised at the level of interest. In just hearing from different Chinese students and teachers and families that have commented on different posts.
Great. So since you've been here for 10 years, right, in Ningbo, so what's your impression to the city of Ningbo in general?
Oh yeah, I think Ningbo has so much capacity. I really love Ningbo. Both of my children have grown up here. They've spent their childhood years. Ningbo is rich with history, and I think that history is something that's very important to me personally. And there's a great spirit here of innovation and curiosity and interest that I'm sure exists across China, but this area in particular I think is special and unique. It also has great capacity for the future, so happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Okay.